from Chicago, this is Fox 32 News at noon.
Next at noon, the killing of a Mexican drug lord and a major winter storm out east. If you're flying today, that could have an impact on your travel here in Chicago. The latest on what to expect.
And the Chicago Park District is hoping to revamp Soldier Field if the Bears move out. We will learn more about what their plan entails.
And taking a live look outside, we have another cold day ahead of us. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Sylvia Perez.
And I'm Anthony Ponce. I hope you're having a great Monday. Let's take a live look outside and see what is going on in and around the bean. Yeah, there's a little crowd of folks there.
Doesn't matter. They got to go see our beautiful tourist attraction, right?
Got to. All right. Let's get the very latest from Caitlin Cody.
A wintry day here in Chicagoland. We have scattered snow showers, which are going to lead to the potential for lake effect snow bands in northwest Indiana today, where accumulating snowfall is possible. We are all going to be cold, though, with highs only in the 20s. So 27 degrees at 3 p.m. with partly to mostly cloudy skies sticking around. Also, it has been a gusty day so far, and the strong elevated winds are going to stick with us through the afternoon. We could see gusts above 30 and even 35 miles per hour. Now, we have a few changes happening on our 3-day forecast. First of all, that lake effect snow is going to end for all of us tonight. And then tomorrow, that's when temperatures are going to be pushing to around 42 degrees. It's going to be another cloudy day, but mild. Unfortunately, though, I mentioned the gusty winds that we have today. Tomorrow, those winds are going to be even stronger. 35 to 40 mile per hour wind gusts are possible. And then in the afternoon, there's a small chance for some wet weather, mixed precipitation. Now on Wednesday, it's going to be a cold one, down to 34 before we rebound to almost 50 on Friday. I'll show you that ahead.
All right, thanks for that, Caitlin. 2 people are dead after an overnight fire in North Lake. Investigators say 2 women were inside a burning home on West Drive. They were taken to different hospitals where they were later pronounced dead. One victim, 65, the other 63. Witnesses say they weren't sure exactly what was happening.
I was driving home from work and we just passed by and there was like a lot of fumes, or like we saw a lot of smoke, so my mom said, oh, let's just go around. And we went around and then it was just like the side of where the window is, just like on fumes.
Firefighters are trying to figure out the exact cause of that fire.
All right, schools are canceled in several Mexican states, and Americans in 2 Mexican states are being told to shelter in place today. The Mexican military killed a major drug lord known as El Mencho over the weekend, and that led to some serious and violent retaliation by the cartel. The State Department is telling people to rethink their travel plans to Mexico right now. And that is not the only thing affecting travel here in Chicago. People at O'Hare are facing 2 other problems.
Yeah, Saquon is joining us now to tell us more about the delays that are happening at the airport. A lot going on.
Yeah, there's a lot going on at the airport. I will say when I was there earlier this morning, we didn't see anything out of the ordinary. The people we talked to also didn't have any issues with their flights, so good news for them. However, there are some cancellations, and they're primarily impacting flights that are heading into or out of Mexico's popular tourist destinations. I do want to show you this. This is a statement from the U.S. Embassy in Mexico. It says, while no airports have been closed, roadblocks have impacted airline operations, with some domestic and international flights canceled in both Guadalajara and Puerto Vallarta. Delta, American, United, Alaska, Air Canada, and Southwest are just some of the major airlines that either diverted or outright canceled their flights to Mexico yesterday. Many of them have issued alerts for travelers, however, allowing them to rebook their flights at no additional cost. Every airline has different rules on who qualifies for rebooking and when you need to do that rebooking by. So if you do have a trip to Mexico planned for this week, you're definitely going to want to check for some updates directly through the airline that you booked through. Now, this unrest has also led to people being stranded in Mexico. So if you or people you know are in Mexico right now, the U.S. Embassy there recommends sheltering in place, whether that's in your hostel, your hotel, Airbnb. They also recommend avoiding crowds, specifically those around law enforcement activity. They also say to be aware of your surroundings, monitor local media for updates, and follow directions directions from local authorities. Now, the massive blizzard that's hitting the Northeast is also only adding to the chaos. More than 5,000 flights have been canceled within, into, or out of the U.S. today, with airports in, of course, New York, New Jersey, Boston, and Philly being hit the hardest. At last check, O'Hare accounted for over 230 of those cancellations total for today. And again, many of those flights are impacted, of course, when they're heading to the areas in the Northeast. Midway was at just over 30 cancellations for today. So for anyone who's flying today, wherever you're going, just make sure you're checking for any updates with your airline before you head to the airport and get there well ahead of time.
The other thing we had going on this weekend that just started too, because of the government shutdown, TSA, the pre-check, and they were all saying, you know what, everyone's going through the same line. We just don't have the manpower, right?
Yeah, and everything was moving along smoothly at O'Hare, I will say. So TSA lines were running. And I think something important to note too, there were some flights that were scheduled to leave Guadalajara and Puerto Vallarta today. A lot of those, though, have been getting pushed back, every hour. They'll push it back and delay it a little bit until that point when that flight is about to take off, then they'll decide to cancel it. So that is a trend that we've noticed this morning, something maybe to keep an eye out.
Okay.
Thank you, Say.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Well, Indiana residents might be able to get some answers about their high heating bills by this afternoon. NIPSCO is holding a customer care center in LaPorte from 4 until 7 p.m. It says NIPSCO workers will be there to share information on financial assistance and tips on how to lower bills. People living in Northwest Indiana say their electric bills have almost tripled over the last year.
Authorities have identified the man killed in a shooting outside a bar in Bridgeview. 31-year-old Juan Rendon was killed just after 2 a.m. Saturday near the Cue Ball Billiards and Bar. Police say that men in two separate groups went outside, got into an argument before the shooting started. One other person is in critical condition.
A family in Gary, Indiana is asking the public for help in finding a missing 14-year-old girl.
Janiah McMichael has not been seen for well over a year now. A vigil was held last night. She was last seen August of 2024 at her home in Gary. Search teams have already looked through a number of abandoned buildings and open lands, nearby waterways as well. Authorities reportedly told the family that she may have been the victim of foul play.
It's been 18 long months. I just want to lay all eyes on my baby girl and find her, and make sure she's okay. So I'm begging the public, I'm begging the community, please help me find my child. No parent ever wants to experience this.
Praying that somebody comes forward, that's what keeps me going, that I will see her again. And I'm her voice, since we don't know where she's at right now, and we don't have any answers. And I'm her voice. I just need somebody to come forward.
There is a $30,000 reward for any information that helps find Janiah.
The widow of Steve McMichael was not charged after an alleged domestic incident. Misty McMichael was arrested last week in Will County after a man claimed she tried to choke him. Both of them told police they had been drinking at the time. She was arrested after a hearing on Saturday morning.
A group of suspects in a Hinsdale burglary appeared in court today. Police say back in January, 3 people were stealing from the Kelsey Resale Boutique on South Washington, right near the Metro stop. You can see the video of them kind of ransacking the place there. 3 suspects were caught in a chase, and then a 4th person was picked up later.
Services begin this week for Reverend Jesse Jackson. He will lie in state at Rainbow Push on Thursday and Friday. He's going to be moved to South Carolina and Washington for services there, and then he will return to Chicago next week for a celebration of life and a homecoming ceremony. Much more to come here on Fox 32 News at noon. It may be calm weather-wise, but that's not the case in the Northeast.
An historic snowstorm is barreling through that region. We will have a live report on the response in New York City coming up.
New insight into what Savannah Guthrie's family might be feeling from someone whose own father was kidnapped. I'm Rebecca Castor in Tucson, Arizona, with this and more on the investigation coming up.
Some polls. responsible for the content of this ad.
Welcome back. The search for Nancy Guthrie now entering week 4 as investigators continue pursuing several leads on a suspect.
Rebecca Castor has the latest from Arizona.
The Pima County Sheriff's Department says there is no change in resources here, and hundreds of law enforcement remain on the case. It's day 23, and investigators still have not named a suspect or motive in Nancy Guthrie's disappearance.
For someone who's been in this situation for a couple of times, I understand what they're going through. I can feel the pain. They just have to keep the faith.
Former Chelsea FC star Mikel John Obi's father was kidnapped twice in Nigeria, and he says both times the captors wanted money.
When it becomes difficult is when you don't know exactly the reason why he or she's been kidnapped.
Investigators have not confirmed the authenticity of ransom notes sent to media outlets in the Guthrie's case. But for people in the public eye, like Nancy's daughter, Savannah, Mikel says it's hard not to feel responsible for your loved one's disappearance.
Obviously, you're the guy that they're coming after. They want to get money from you.
Over the weekend, law enforcement remained focused on isolating mixed DNA found at the 84-year-old's home. But the sheriff warns that process could take months.
The prolonged aspects of this make it so much more difficult because as you're having to just revisit it and there's no going away from it.
Volunteer groups also took up the search. They did find a backpack, but it was determined by authorities to be unrelated to the case.
We're out here just to support and just be here as more support and see if we can find anything.
The sheriff's department is telling people who want to search for Nancy on their own that they should leave the work to the professionals. In Tucson, Arizona, Rebecca Castor, Fox News.
All right, let's take a live look outside back here locally. Kind of an overcast,
not
wintry
the prettiest day, right?
No.
But what can we expect for the rest of the day? It's definitely cold. Caitlin has the answer for us. Caitlin.
The wintry weather continuing in Chicagoland today. Temperatures only in the 20s this afternoon, and it's going to be a gusty day with winds above 30 miles per hour at times. Now, as far as the snow goes, the best opportunity for snowfall accumulation is going to be in northwest Indiana, especially in Porter and LaPorte County, where we could see around 2 to 4 inches of snowfall. Let's take you through the day. I mentioned how temperatures are going to be peaking in the upper 20s. This is 4:15. Most of us having a quiet day from Chicago points west. With the exception of the cold temperatures and gusty winds, it is going to be quiet. We have that potential, though, for dropping visibility along with that accumulation and a few slick spots in northwest Indiana. This is 7 p.m. We still see a few areas of snow from Porter County and LaPorte. And then overnight tonight, drier skies will be here. But temperatures are dropping down into the teens tonight. And tomorrow, it's actually going to be quite mild. We have temperatures in the 30s and 40s, but we have the potential for a few scattered showers in the afternoon in the form of rain and then a rain-snow mix. It's going to be a very gusty day tomorrow, though. And with that, we encourage you not to burn anything outside because that fire could spread fast. Temperatures are doing a bit of a roller coaster this week. We're ending the week, though, on a high note with sunshine and warm temperatures before we drop again this weekend. A full check of your 7-day forecast is coming up.
We want to go back to the story we were telling you about earlier, and that, of course, is a story that has gained the nation's attention. Yeah. Nancy Guthrie still missing now going into week 4, where she has not been found.
Right. All right. Meantime, in the Northeast, they are being absolutely pounded by a blizzard that is carrying life-threatening conditions.
Yeah, so Caroline Elliott is also joining us now in New York City with the latest on this. Caroline, tell us about some of those conditions that you're seeing. Well, as you can imagine, it's been the lead story everywhere. We have had some great weather here, but have you seen what's going on out there? That
the
is
pictures that are coming in. We're waiting for Caroline to get in front of the camera right now, but I've had friends that are in upstate New York. They're posting 1978, eat your heart out. Look at what we have now. So it is.
We're so lucky as we see how that storm went. You know, we got a little bit of cold and a little bit of snow yesterday, but nothing like that. I don't remember when we've had a snowstorm like that here.
It's been
you and I've been here for a while.
Or so. It was 2014
we can remember the big
when we had the last huge one. In the Northeast today, though, I believe there are 7 states that have declared states of emergency. So we're talking about some seriously problematic conditions. And obviously, in a city like New York, the streets are narrow. They've got to do the whole thing where any parked cars have to be moved out of the way. Some of them are snowed in. So it's an absolute mess out there.
And they don't have the skills that we do here in Chicago. Let's see. Do we have Caroline ready for us now? Yeah. You know what? We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back.
Chicago.
Welcome back. It's 12:19. We've been telling you about that nor'easter out there. So let's get back to that story because a serious blizzard that is creating some life-threatening conditions is going on.
Yes, let's check in with Caroline Elliott, who is live in New York City. Caroline, what are you seeing there?
Yeah, Anthony, Sylvia. Well, officials told us this would be the biggest snowstorm we've seen in almost a decade, and it has certainly lived up to the hype. We're starting to get some of those snow totals coming in, and some parts of New York saw more than 2 feet of snow, Anthony. So really impressive numbers we're seeing. We know Brooklyn specifically saw 20 inches of snow. Some parts of New Jersey saw 26 inches of snow. So again, really impressive numbers we're seeing. And again, we do expect that official total to come in by later tonight when the snow stops around 6 p.m. But again, we are expecting a really, really big number today, possibly even a record. Guys,
you know, we have to ask you because we're used to snow in Chicago, and so is New York for the most part, but I feel like we have incredible services to make sure that everything is cleared out. We have no parking zones during the wintertime, so people can't park so that they can then plow everything away. But I understand the mayor has told people to stay home. How many actually have listened, and is it tough for the city streets to get cleared out?
Yeah, Sylvia, I will tell you, we'll give credit to some of these city crews out here that have been working nonstop the last 24 hours, not just treating roads and sidewalks, but also really just working overtime, making sure that the city streets are safe. We've got somebody even coming by right now who's been out here all morning long trying to keep this place safe. I will tell you, though, the transit, we're still seeing those services in operation as well. We know subways are operating, buses are operating, and the trains are on a holiday schedule. So again, operating in limited capacity here. But I will tell you, we saw some of the buses out here this morning. And again, they are used to driving in all kinds of conditions. Even they were slipping and sliding out here this morning, if that tells you anything at all.
How are the residents feeling? What are you hearing from them, Caroline?
Yeah, so I will tell you, we know the mayor asked people to stay at home, and I think most people are really heeding those warnings. You can see some people walking behind us on the sidewalk right now, but if you've ever been in Midtown, if you've ever been near Times Square, you know this is really unusual. These sidewalks are usually packed, but the only thing we're seeing for the most part are people just riding by, trying to clear the sidewalks and treat the sidewalks so people don't slip out here. I will tell you, every single person that I've talked to out here this morning has either worked for the news or they're here from overseas. So they're tourists. They came here. They don't want to waste their money. Exactly. They don't want to waste their money. So they're trying to make the most of it. But this is a historical blizzard after all. So a lot of the locals are staying home right now.
I cannot blame them. Okay, stay safe, stay warm. Thank you for bringing us that report. We appreciate it. Well, for many cancer patients, beating the disease is, of course, a top priority. But for younger patients, another question quickly follows, and that is, what about my future?
A Chicago father is sharing how a rare cancer diagnosis nearly took away his chance to grow his family, and how fertility preservation at Northwestern Medicine helped change the outcome. Brian Jackson has more.
It was a Friday afternoon, and I was in the shower after working out, and something didn't feel right. My left was bigger than my right, and I said, this is a problem.
Kevin Hull's fear of testicular cancer was confirmed at Northwestern Memorial Hospital. Doctors told him both testicles would need to be removed. But for the father of one, cancer wasn't the first thing on his mind.
So here I am at 38 years old. I've got a young daughter. We would love to have more kids, and I have to meet with the fertility folks and start to think about, okay, andrology, how are we going to figure this out?
Before cancer treatment began, Kevin met with fertility specialists at Northwestern Medicine, including urologist Dr. Robert Brannigan.
So oncofertility refers to the notion that during the diagnosis and treatment of cancer, the therapies that we can use will often diminish fertility, sometimes permanently.
Kevin began banking sperm before surgery and chemotherapy, but IVF came with uncertainty. Only a few samples were viable. Then came the emotional whiplash.
Trust, belief, faith in everything, the system that I'm bringing my life to and submitting, as much as trusting my voice back out into my family and friends that I'm gonna make it.
Just as Kevin started chemotherapy, the IVF worked. He would survive 3 rounds of chemo and 5 surgeries. In 2012, he was declared cancer-free, and his son Oscar was born.
And with the grace of science and blessings from every direction, we are looking at our young thing turn into a fine young man he is, and it's just the best.
Doctors say Kevin's story highlights a shift in cancer care, treating the disease and protecting life after it.
And now we know that's not good enough. Now we know we can implement fertility preservation measures at the same time as part of comprehensive cancer care.
And for Kevin Hull, it changed everything.
It changes the game from a patient trust. It's like, yep, that's the hitch. I was like, you're now stronger because of it.
That was Brian Jackson reporting, and more than 75% of men diagnosed with cancer during their reproductive years survive at least 5 years. Many want the option to start families. Doctors at Northwestern Medicine say men facing cancer treatment should ask early how it could affect fertility and what preservation options are available. We have actually posted more info on oncofertility and the testicular self-exam on our website, fox32chicago.com.
All the talk about the Bears has been whether they're going to be moving to Indiana or they're staying in Illinois. Now we're learning about a proposed plan for Soldier Field after the team leaves.
And the latest on the proposal to turn the historic football stadium into a major concert and entertainment venue.
And we've seen some light snow today, plus it's pretty cold out there. Caitlin's tracking the forecast and more when we come back. Welcome back. It's 12:28. Here's a look at some of the top stories we're following for you this afternoon. Nick Reiner just entered a not guilty plea in the killing of his parents. Hollywood director Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle. He is charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder. The hearing has already been delayed twice. The most recent holdup happening after his high-profile attorney suddenly withdrew from the case. A public defender has taken over in his place.
We are learning more about a man who was fatally shot by Secret Service agents over the weekend after they say that he breached the perimeter of President Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort. 21-year-old Austin Tucker Martin was confronted and shot by agents after they say he tried to fire on them early Sunday morning. They say he was carrying a shotgun and a gas can. President Trump was not at the resort at the time. Investigators are still trying to find a motive.
Let's find out what we can expect with our forecast for today. Caitlin standing by with the answer. Caitlin?
We have had scattered snow so far today. Most of it has been light, but as we head into the afternoon hours, northwest Indiana, that's where we're going to have the opportunity for some lake effect snow showers that could be dropping visibility and bringing us snow accumulation. But we have more wet weather on the way. Tomorrow even, the chance for a rain-snow mix and strong gusty winds will return. In fact, the wind is going to get stronger for your Tuesday. And then we end the week with dry weather, sunshine, and a high of about 50 on Friday. For today, highs are going to be in the upper 20s to low 30s, so it is going to be a chilly winter-like day with the clouds in place. And tonight, we're going to be drying out. That lake effect ends in northwest Indiana with temperatures hovering around 20 degrees. And then tomorrow, a high in the low 40s. So it's going to be a mild day, but my goodness, these winds. Take a look. These are the next 48 hours for these wind speeds. They are going to be decreasing this evening into tonight, and then tomorrow they jump back up by midday tomorrow to about 40 miles per hour. So we encourage you not to burn anything outside again tomorrow. But the temperatures are actually going to be decreasing yet again down to 34 on Wednesday. Wednesday's looking quiet, but we have the chance for snow returning Wednesday night into early Thursday. Thursday high right around 37. And then as mentioned, Friday, we're ending the week with sunshine and a high of about 50. This weekend, we're decreasing down to 43 expected Saturday, Sunday right around 34. So we do have a big mix of temperatures ahead of us. Today, though, is going to be the coldest of your 7-day forecast. And again, if you are out and about, especially in northwest Indiana and especially the further east you go, Porter County and LaPorte, make sure you take caution because we could see drops in visibility within these lake effect snow bands. Also, slick roads are possible because of that accumulating snowfall potential. It's going to be gusty out there and chilly. Make sure you layer up when you head out now and through the rest of the day.
Okay, here's the big question on a lot of people's minds. Will the Bears pack their bags for the Hoosier State? Will they finally agree to do something to start that project once again in Arlington Heights? What's going to happen here?
Well, Paris is here, and lots of questions, Paris. Let's start with what we know for sure. And that is... It's not going to be Soldier Field.
It's not going to be Soldier Field. We know that. It's going to be Hammond or Arlington Heights, unless all these things break down and the Bears are just back at square one. But Soldier Field, the Chicago Park District, we reported last night, is already preparing for a post-Bears Soldier Field. They have put together a lobbying package. They've gone to the governor's office and state lawmakers to talk about a plan to retrofit the stadium, primarily for concerts and festivals and special events, once the Bears leave. And they're putting a price tag on that, according to sources, at about $630 million. $130 million of that would be for in-stadium renovations to make it a better concert facility, better dressing rooms for Beyonce and Taylor Swift.
I got to ask you, who's going to pay for that?
Well, and so the Bears have, that's the question, Sylvia. That is the question. The Bears have a $90 million penalty they have to pay if they break their lease with Soldier Field. So that could be used for some of this money. And then the Park District is proposing the state use its road fund that it uses for infrastructure projects for some of the things around it, for traffic and parking, to make it a better concert facility and to get people in and out of there, to make it merge more seamlessly with the museum campus. So that, remember, Mayor Lightfoot in the past had come up with a plan for Soldier Field to retrofit it. This isn't exactly that, and they haven't had any renderings yet, but this is just to make slight tweaks to the stadium, concessions, restrooms, to make it a premier concert facility, and that's how they want to make up their money. An interesting point on this is the Bears and the Chicago Fire, which both play their games there, they account for less than 20% of the revenue.
Oh, that's
for Soldier Field. So they just get that money on a lease. So the Bears lease is $7 million a year. That's all they see from the Bears. They don't see any of the revenue. They don't see, it's just that $7 million. They make more money on concerts. So their calculation is, if they can compete and get more of these big concerts, they can make back that money.
Make more.
And there's incentives beyond just the museum campus as well, because I understand when someone like Beyonce comes in or Taylor Swift, there's a huge impact on the local economy.
Huge impact, massive impact. They put out a study saying that the hotel saw like $88 million in revenue that one weekend, and the hotel tax is what pays for the bonds and the debt on the renovation of Soldier Field from 20 years ago, which still have $460 million in bills to go.
That is
so there's an incentive here to boost those hotel rates so the tourists pay that tax. If those hotel rates fall short, then city taxpayers have to make up the Bears debt. So there's an incentive to make Soldier Field viable
engine.
and a cash cow.
Which probably would not be that difficult.
Possible.
Yeah, and that was why I immediately wanted to know who's going to pay for that, because how ironic would it be if the Bears left and then the taxpayers ended up paying for this redo, which appears is not going to be the case.
But see, that's why lawmakers in Park District are meeting right now, because they want to make sure there's a package where that doesn't happen, where the Bears pay part of it, where some road fund money pays it, infrastructure money pays it, and they can do it without new debt, because there's already all this debt on that state. But then there's a question of if the Bears build a dome, will Taylor Swift want to play in the Dome? Will she want to play in Soldier Field?
Will she want to go to Hammond or Arlington Heights?
Okay,
that's the thing. Location.
Yeah.
So I got a text from a relative who's a huge sports fan, and he said to me, he goes, could this really happen, that the Bears would go to Hammond? I mean, he was saying there's no way, and I'm like, no, this is...
Yeah.
It's being debated in the Indiana, so they have to have 2 hearings now in the House before they vote on it. We think that vote could come tomorrow, but there's some new reporting coming out this weekend about nothing's free, Anthony and Sylvia. You got to pay the piper, and Indiana wants to publicly fund a lot of this stadium. Well, who's going to pay for it? Taxpayers. And they've talked about this new stadium authority will have the authority to raise taxes on liquor, on hotels in Lake County, Indiana. You know, these are poor middle-class residents that are going to foot some of this bill. Will that slow down this legislation in Indiana? By the way, Kevin Warren, the CEO of the Bears, in Cranes on Saturday, also saying, hey, things in Illinois are moving forward, too. It felt like kind of a cleanup after what happened on Thursday.
Yeah, absolutely. That took the governor off guard, I can tell.
Yeah, exactly. And Arlington Heights still very much in play.
All right, we'll be right back with more of the News at Noon after this.
Call now.
Welcome back. It's 12:39. Taking a look at the New York Stock Exchange. Right now, the Dow Jones trading down 647 points.
All right, time now to look at the rest of our business headlines with CJ Papa.
Tariff uncertainty is back after President Trump revealed a 10% global tariff, then raised it to 15%, following the U.S. Supreme Court striking down the tariffs imposed under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. Goldman Sachs says its estimates for tariff impact on inflation and growth are little changed. They say the bulk of the impact passed through to consumers has already happened, with just a 0.1% impact expected on prices this year. Domino's Pizza held up better than expected in the recent quarter. Its sales rose 3.7%, helped by promotions and new menu items. The pizza business has been hit by more people cooking at home and competition from food delivery services that give people more options. Domino's now has a relationship with DoorDash and others. And NVIDIA, known for producing chips for artificial intelligence, is getting back into the business of running your personal computer. The Wall Street Journal says NVIDIA will produce chips for laptops hitting the market this year from Dell, Lenovo, and others. Analysts say NVIDIA wants to keep a connection with consumers in an era when every device will be AI-enabled. That's business. CJ Papa, Fox.
Download today.
Welcome back. 12:43. We have shown you the massive blizzard, the bomb cyclone hitting the East Coast.
Yeah, that storm is just one major problem, as we told you at the top of this show, that's now affecting air travel across the country. Anita's kicking off our Chicago Live interviews from Studio 32, and she has more on this. Anita.
Hi to the two of you. You know, between the blizzard and then also the violence even happening in Mexico that I'm sure you all have spoken about as well, I think about trying to fly either domestic or even all the folks who are planning in the next few weeks to try to get somewhere for a spring break. Yeah, stress levels are rising. Thousands of flights are already being canceled right now. Senior aviation reporter with The Points Guy, Sean Cudahy, is joining me to talk a little bit about it. Let's start with your overall thoughts on flying this week.
Yeah, well, certainly it's a slow go on the East Coast right now. In fact, that might be, an optimistic statement right there. We're seeing the vast majority, basically all of the flights out of the major airports in the New York City area, JFK, LaGuardia, and Newark, also Boston in New England. The lot of flight cancellations, and these are really critical hubs. So I expect, with the nature of this storm really kind of sticking around for a while here and how important those hubs are, I think we're going to see, flight trouble kind of cascade around the country here over the coming days.
Not what anyone wants to hear. So let's say your flight is canceled, okay? I mean, that's worst case, yes, but walk us through what to know, what to do.
Yeah, a couple of things. You have some options. So first of all, if your flight's canceled or even if it's significantly delayed, under federal policy, you're entitled to a refund for whatever part of the trip you didn't actually take. You shouldn't have to fight the airline on it. They're supposed to give it to you. Now, if you accept rebooking from the airline, even if it's, a few days from now, you wouldn't technically be owed a refund, but sometimes, that's the best we're going to do if you're trying to get to your destination or if you're trying to get back home and you've been away for a while.
And is there, I guess, with all the uncertainty right now, let's even address the partial government shutdown. We went back and forth over the weekend. Do we have TSA PreCheck? Do we not have it? What is the status of that right now?
Yeah, so PreCheck is in place still, and by all accounts, it looks like that's going to stay that way, barring some sort of major change. The big thing that we did see happen that started yesterday is that global entry is suspended. And for those who don't know, if you're a frequent international traveler, global entry is the program that when you fly back into the U.S. and you're going through customs, it lets you kind of fly through that with just minimal wait time. You go through those blue kiosks that you might see. It quickly identifies you, and you're on your way. That program has been suspended at this point by the Trump administration.
Now, if your travel is not imminent, we're looking a few weeks down the road, but everyone's seeing what's happening right now. But you're looking a few weeks down the road, all of the spring break plans that are already in motion right now. What would you say to people who are feeling uneasy already?
It's certainly concerning headlines to see, and we've had plenty of them over the past year when it comes to air travel. I'm pretty optimistic going into the spring. I mean, obviously, the longer a government shutdown goes, a partial government shutdown like this even, the more chance of some sort of delay, whether it's at TSA checkpoints or elsewhere. But, compared to that shutdown that we had in the fall where air traffic control wasn't funded and we were dealing with all sorts of flight delays, I think that the outlook for the spring is looking a lot better than we would have seen a few months ago.
Are there any things that people should be doing now?
Yeah, always just kind of have that backup plan in mind as you go on your trip, whether it's a backup flight, if it's, knowing if you're going to take the train or you're going to drive, what would you do if you got stuck somewhere? We always recommend if you are going to book a flight, there are a lot of travel credit cards out there that have travel insurance policies attached to them. So if you use that card to pay for your flight and then you get stuck somewhere overnight, maybe you have a night at a hotel, a lot of the time you can use, you can kind of claim a refund or a reimbursement for that.
All right, Sean, thank you so much. We always appreciate being able to call on the Points Guy. We appreciate it. And we're going to pick up more of our conversation on Chicago Live regarding what's going on in Mexico. Actually, we have the Mexico Consul General that's going to be joining me. I'm also talking with Assistant Special Agent in charge for the FBI about a federal agent impersonation scheme. You do not want to get hit with that. And we have received a slew of emails today from Illinois lawmakers who are saying, yeah, I'm skipping out on the State of the Union tomorrow. It's a big moment, a big decision. I'm going to have Congressman Sean Casten, who's going to be talking about refusing to attend in person. He actually says he is not interested in being, these are his words, used as a prop for President Trump's theatrics. We'll talk all about it. There's that plus much more coming up between 1 and 4 p.m. online. I'll see you on fox32chicago.com, YouTube, and our Fox Local app. Hope to see you online then. We're going to go to break for now, and then Anthony and Sylvia will pick right up.
Welcome back. It's 12:51. When faced with a food desert and inconvenient shopping options in the Austin neighborhood, one person tackled the issue head on and made things more accessible.
Photojournalist Jonathan Young introduces us to the creators of 40 Acres Fresh Market.
I would say that the idea for 40 Acres was a progression over time. I'm not from Chicago. I'm actually from upstate New York. I came here to go to graduate school. I graduated, was working in the city, and just happened to be running an errand that took me to the Austin neighborhood. And when in the Austin neighborhood, I needed cash, and I could not find a readily accessible source to take my money out of my bank account in a cheap way. So I don't like to pay exorbitant ATM fees like you see at a lot of corner stores or check cashing places. So I was looking either for my bank or a retail location where I could make a purchase and get cash back. And I couldn't find one along Chicago Avenue. Walking all the way from like Laramie up to Long, couldn't find one. Googled it, nothing within a mile, so very difficult to find. And I'm like, where am I? Like, what kind of place am I at where I'm on a major commercial corridor and I can't do basic transactions? Because I didn't even know what neighborhood I was in at the time. Eventually realized I was in the Austin neighborhood, and that experience stuck with me because it really highlighted the tale of two cities. I have lived in the South Loop, I'd lived in Lakeview, I had lived in Westtown, and in none of those neighborhoods did I ever struggle or wonder where I was going to go for basic goods and services. So I think first I became problem aware that day, and then over time that grew into an idea of what if somebody opened a fresh market in that neighborhood? And eventually somebody became, well, why can't I do it? And from there, the idea for 40 Acres Fresh Market was born. I started with pop-up markets, expanded into delivery service, and the goal was always to open a store, and that goal was finally achieved in September of 2025. I chose Austin because it's the second most populated neighborhood in Chicago. There is a huge amount of population density in this area. It is also a mixed income community with people of all types of economic demographics living in one neighborhood. And the third reason is because in a neighborhood of this size, there were only 3 or 4 grocery stores servicing this over almost 100,000 people, which is not nearly enough. So I saw a gap in the market of people who have money to spend, everybody eats, and without an adequate option to service them. So I thought that that was an excellent opportunity to fill a need, solve a problem, and open a business that creates that solution. When it came time to develop the store, I wanted to create the grocery store that I wanted to shop at. I wanted it to look a certain way. I wanted it to feel a certain way. I wanted it to be really easy to shop. I wanted it to carry the items that I like because, you know, I think if I like it, everybody's gonna like it. I wanted it to have a vibe, and that's like the entire in-store environment, from the lighting to the music to the way it smells, and like you can smell delicious things cooking, and then on a staff that can bring all of that to life in an environment that is welcoming, inviting, easy to shop, offers pretty much everything you need, and also the convenience of being right in your neighborhood.
How unbelievable is that? I want one in, I'm on the website
right?
now. I want one of those in my neighborhood.
Let's see if you can order ahead, right?
Oh my gosh.
I love that. Really nice. Okay, we'll be right back.
to Chicago.
Okay, hey, look at the sun.
Isn't that something? I hope it's going to stick around for just a little bit. What do you think? Let's get a final check of the forecast and find out.
Today's a chilly one, partly to mostly cloudy skies, scattered light snow possible. Northwest Indiana could be seeing lake effect snow, high of about 27 degrees. Also, it's gusty and that wind's coming in out of the northwest. Tonight we're dropping down to about 19, so it's going to be a cold night. The wind coming in out of the north, and tomorrow another gusty day. Winds coming in out of the south up to 40 miles per hour, maybe even 45 miles per hour at times. A high of 42. Now tomorrow we have the chance for precipitation returning. A rain-snow mix is possible. Here's your 7-day forecast. 34 degrees but dry on Wednesday with the chance for snow back Wednesday night into early Thursday. Thursday high 37. And then on Friday, wonderful. Sunny skies, a high of about 50. But then this upcoming weekend, temperatures will be dropping down to 43 on Saturday, Sunday right around 34. So today I think is going to be the coldest of the week and the most wintry